They thought us primitive. They thought us weak. They thought the galaxy was theirs to rule, but beneath the quiet oceans of a little blue planet, humanity had been building a silent, terrifying answer. Imagine a chamber so vast, it swallowed light. The great hall of the Galactic Council, stretching for miles, pulsed with the life of 1,000 species. Scale-skinned beings that shimmered like liquid metal, creatures of pure light, sentient gas clouds held in magnetic fields, they had seen 10 millennia pass. Empires rise and fall. Stars ignite and die. Nothing, they believed, could surprise them anymore. Then came Kevin Rodas. He stood alone, a single human on a small platform in the hall's heart. Surrounded by beings who saw his species as little more than clever, quarrelsome animals, his suit was immaculate, his hands steady. His voice, when he spoke, held no tremor. But inside, his heart hammered a furious rhythm against his ribs. Towering over all was the Kefler High Commander. 8 feet of scaled, blood-red menace, his kind had carved an empire of fear across half the galaxy. His eyes, devoid of warmth or mercy, held an absolute certainty of power. When he spoke, it was said, planets trembled. The Council has reached its decision, the High Commander boomed, his voice a rolling thunder that shook the very air. The species known as humans have violated 17 expansion treaties. They have colonized worlds beyond their designated zone. They have refused proper governance. They are a threat to galactic order. Kevin listened, unmoving. 15 years as an ambassador had taught him this game. The Keflers sought not peace, but utter submission. They wanted Earth on its knees. Therefore, the High Commander continued, a predatory glint in his cold eyes, the Dominion of Kefler, with full support of the Council, declares humanity a quarantine species. You have 7 standard cycles to surrender your colonial fleet. You will dismantle your orbital stations. You will accept permanent monitoring of your homeworld. Failure to comply will result in total annihilation. A murmur, a ripple of curiosity and amusement, swept through the hall. Most species had faced such ultimatums. Most had surrendered. Those who hadn't, well, they were no longer a topic of conversation. Kevin Rodas took a deep, steadying breath. He met the Kefler's gaze, his voice cutting through the murmurs with crystal clarity. And if we refuse? Laughter. A wave of derision from 1,000 alien throats, echoing, mocking. The Kefler commander's mouth twisted, a chilling approximation of a smile. Then we will reduce your world to ash. Your colonies will burn. Your species will be erased from history. You will be forgotten, human, just like all the others who dared to stand against us. Kevin nodded slowly. I will deliver your message to my government. He turned, and as he walked, that alien laughter followed him, a sound of contempt that ignited a cold fire in his human soul. 12 hours later, the fire burned in a bunker deep beneath Geneva. Earth's leaders, presidents, prime ministers, generals, admirals, crowded the room, fear-warring with defiance. Screens flickered with the image of the Kefler Armada, 6,000 warships, each a continent-destroying behemoth, waiting at the edge of their solar system. Humanity's combined fleet? 42 small, outdated vessels. 20 minutes, tops. We cannot win this war, the Russian president stated, his voice hollow. The numbers are impossible. Surrender is not an option, the Chinese premier retorted, her eyes blazing. You know what happens to quarantine species. Slavery. Children become property. Culture erased. Arguments erupted, a cacophony of fear and fury. Some screamed for defiant death, others for desperate negotiation. The American president, a man of quiet resolve, listened. Finally, he raised a hand. Silence fell. There is another option. Every eye was on him. He pulled out a phone, a relic that looked ancient, without screens or visible buttons, just a single, almost invisible line etched into its surface. What is that? The British Prime Minister whispered. The president didn't answer. His thumb pressed against the line. A tiny light blinked. He spoke 3 words, words that would echo across generations, words that shattered the galactic status quo, wake the Leviathan. 6,000 meters below the Pacific, something stirred. In a colossal cavern carved into the earth 3 centuries ago, lights flickered to life. Power hummed through cables thicker than ancient redwoods. Computer systems that had slept for decades now awoke with a silent roar. Admiral Daniel Carter, 63 years old, stood on the bridge of a ship the galaxy didn't know existed. His entire life had been a preparation for this moment. His father served on this ship. His grandfather helped build it. For generations of his family had kept this sacred secret. The message appeared on his console. "Wake the Leviathan." Commander Nicole Briggs, sharp and focused, read it. She let out a long breath. So, it is finally happening. Carter nodded. He looked at his crew, men and women who had trained in secret for years, soldiers who had never seen sunlight outside simulations, engineers who understood technology that would make the Kethler weep with envy. "All hands," he commanded, his voice ringing with quiet power. "This is Admiral Carter. Prepare for surface operations. We are going up." The ship began to move. Engines, patiently dormant for 3 centuries, thrummed to life. The ocean floor groaned, cracked, and split as something impossibly massive pushed upward. On the surface, fishing boats tossed violently on sudden, monstrous waves. Satellites screamed warnings of unprecedented seismic activity. Scientists worldwide stared at their instruments in utter confusion. Then, the USS Leviathan broke the surface of the Pacific. 12 kilometers long. A hull blacker than the void between stars. Energy shields shimmered around it, a cage of captured lightning. Weapons systems, names unknown in any galactic database, powered up with a sound like ancient gods waking from slumber. Tidal waves crashed on distant coastlines. News helicopters scrambled. Every screen on Earth displayed the impossible, a ship larger than cities, rising from the depths. Admiral Carter stood on his bridge, looking up at the distant stars. Out there, the Kethler waited, their armada bristling. Out there, the Galactic Council believed humanity was weak, helpless. They were wrong. "Commander Briggs," he said quietly, "set course for the Council station. It is time the galaxy learned what we have been building." The Leviathan turned towards the heavens and began its ascent. The year was 1947 when humanity's fate pivoted. A New Mexico farmer found wreckage unlike any earthly craft, metal too light, shapes too strange, symbols belonging to no known language. Within hours, unmarked military trucks swept it away. The farmer was paid, warned, and silenced. But in secret laboratories, brilliant minds began to unravel the impossible. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from their solar system. It carried technology centuries ahead of human understanding. And more crucially, it carried a warning. Dr. Laura Peterson's grandmother was among those first scientists. She dedicated her life to the alien tech, passing the torch to her daughter, who passed it to Laura. 3 generations, 1 project, 1 monumental secret. Now, Laura, 51, hands calloused from decades of work, watched power readings in the Leviathan's engineering bay. She had designed half this ship. She knew every system because she had built them. "Power core stable," she reported, her voice steady. "All systems operating within normal parameters." Admiral Carter nodded, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. 300 years of human ingenuity, sacrifice, and relentless effort were paying off. The Leviathan pierced Earth's atmosphere and entered the darkness of space. Crew members, who had only ever seen stars in simulations, pressed against viewports, tears in their eyes. Nothing prepared them for the raw, breathtaking majesty of the galaxy unfolding before them. Lieutenant Megan Torres, 28, the youngest officer on the bridge, monitored signals from across known space. Her fingers danced across her console. "Admiral," she said suddenly, a spark of amusement in her voice, "I'm picking up transmissions from the Galactic Council. They're detecting our approach." "What are they saying?" Carter asked, a faint smile touching his lips. Megan listened, then let out a quiet laugh. "Confusion, sir. They don't know what we are. Sensors can't identify our ship class. Some are speculating, a previously unknown species. Commander Briggs chuckled softly. They'll learn soon enough. The Leviathan surged forward, crossing distances in hours that would have taken humanity's old ships months. Its drive system, based on principles once deemed theoretical, was a testament to humanity's audacious innovation. In the fighter bays, Captain Marcus Cole, a man carved from grit and courage, walked among his pilots. They were humanity's finest, from every nation, flying craft that could outrun light, armed with weapons that would cut through Kevlar shields like paper. Remember your training, Marcus told them, his voice calm, resolute. We are not here to start a war. We are here to prevent one. Stay disciplined. Follow orders. Trust in what we have built. His pilots, nervous but ready, nodded. They had waited their entire lives for this moment. The Leviathan dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Council station. Alarms immediately screamed across the station. Defense platforms activated. Weapons charged. Warships from a dozen species scrambled to intercept. But then they saw it. The Leviathan. Larger than anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. It dwarfed the Council station itself. Its weapon arrays stretched for kilometers. Its shields glowed with energy signatures no species could identify. Lieutenant Megan Torres opened a broadcast channel, her voice clear, resolute, reaching every corner of known space on frequencies that defied jamming. This is the USS Leviathan of the United Earth Defense Force, she announced. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. Silence fell across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, beings froze, staring at their screens. The mighty Kevlar Dominion watched in disbelief. The ancient species of the Council found themselves speechless, perhaps for the first time in millennia. Admiral Carter stepped forward, his voice calm, steady, carrying the weight of 300 years of human preparation. For centuries, we watched you from the shadows. We saw how you treat species you consider weak. We saw the wars you fight, the worlds you conquer, the peoples you enslave. We knew that if we revealed ourselves too soon, we would share their fate. He paused, letting the crushing implications sink into every sentient mind across the stars. So, we waited. We learned. We built. Not because we wanted war, but because we knew that peace can only exist when backed by strength. Today, humanity steps onto the galactic stage. We ask only for respect and fair treatment. Threaten our world, and you will face consequences beyond your imagination. The broadcast ended. The Leviathan hung in space, a silent, impossibly massive sentinel. On the Council station, representatives scrambled to emergency meetings. The Kevlar High Commander screamed, incoherent with rage and confusion. How? How had a primitive species built something so powerful, so utterly unnoticed? The answer was simple. Humanity had been underestimated. Dismissed as clever animals. No one thought to look closely at the quiet little blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. That was their mistake. Back on the Leviathan, Dr. Laura Peterson allowed herself a moment of fierce pride. Her grandmother started this journey. Her mother continued it. Now, she was here, watching humanity announce itself to the universe. Sergeant Tyler Grant led his Marine detachment through the corridors, ready for anything. Their armor, their weapons, a testament to human ingenuity, made Kevlar military tech look like crude implements. They hoped they'd never have to use them. But if called upon, they would not hesitate. Commander Briggs approached Admiral Carter. The Kevlar are dispatching a scout fleet to intercept us. 200 warships. They are demanding we surrender. Carter's grim smile was chilling. They want a demonstration. Very well. Let us give them one they will never forget. The Leviathan turned to face the incoming fleet. Its weapon systems hummed with power. Its fighter bays prepared for launch. Humanity had been hiding for 300 years. That time was over. Now, the galaxy would see what they were truly capable of. The Kevlar scout fleet burst from faster-than-light travel, 200 warships in perfect, deadly formation. This was the classic attack pattern that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Their crews, bred for war, knew no fear, no concept of defeat. They were the galaxy's mightiest. That was about to change. Commander Nicole Briggs watched the tactical display on the Leviathan's bridge. 200 ships, forming a sphere of death around them. The Kefler commander's arrogant demands for surrender crackled over the comms. "They haven't even scanned us properly," she murmured, a thin smile playing on her lips. "They have no idea what they're facing." Admiral Carter stood, hands clasped behind his back, his face a mask of calm. "They believe this will be easy. 200 ships against one. In their experience, those odds guarantee victory." "In their experience," Briggs echoed, her smile widening. Carter turned to his crew. Every officer, forged by a lifetime of secret training, was calm, ready. "All hands, battle stations. Remember our orders. No lethal force unless absolutely necessary. We are here to send a message, not to commit slaughter. Disable their ships. Leave their crews alive. Let them carry the story back to their masters." Captain Marcus Cole's voice crackled from the fighter bay. "Squadron ready for launch, Admiral. 36 fighters standing by. Launch when ready, Captain. Draw their fire. Keep them confused. Paint targets for our main batteries." The Leviathan's fighter bays opened, vast jaws of some ancient beast. 36 fighters shot out, leaving fiery blue trails. They moved with impossible speed, utterly unlike anything the Kefler had ever encountered. Enemy sensors struggled to track them. The Kefler commander watched in confusion. Fighters? Against capital ships? Contempt twisted his features. These primitives knew nothing of war. "All ships," he ordered, "destroy the fighters first. Then we will take our time with the carrier." 200 warships unleashed hell. Space erupted in a blinding storm of energy beams and missiles. Any normal fighter squadron would have been annihilated instantly. But these were not normal fighters. Captain Marcus Cole led his squadron through the maelstrom, weaving and twisting, dodging beams that defied all logic. His pilots mirrored him, dancing through death itself. "Squadron, begin target painting," he barked. "Mark their weapon systems, engines, shield generators. Let the Leviathan do the rest." Data streamed back to the bridge. Lieutenant Megan Torres coordinated, feeding targets to weapon officers. Dr. Laura Peterson monitored power distribution, ensuring peak performance. Commander Briggs gave the order. "Weapons free. Disable all targets." The Leviathan opened fire. The galaxy had never seen such weaponry. Energy beams, impossibly precise, struck Kefler's shields and simply passed through, as if they didn't exist. Targeted pulses hit engine cores, shutting them down with surgical precision, no explosions, just cold, sudden silence. Gravity wells bloomed, sucking clusters of Kefler ships together, holding them motionless and helpless. The Kefler commander watched his fleet disintegrate. Ship after ship went dark. Weapons failed. Engines died. Communications cut out. His vessels drifted, utterly powerless, their crews alive but stunned. "Impossible," he whispered, "this is impossible." 11 minutes. That was all it took. 200 warships of the mightiest empire in the galaxy, defeated in 11 minutes, by a single vessel from a species they had called primitive. Captain Cole brought his squadron back to the Leviathan, not a single casualty. Cheers erupted over the comms. They had done it. They had faced the Kefler. And they had won. Admiral Carter allowed himself a small, private nod of satisfaction. "Lieutenant Torres, open a channel to the disabled fleet." Megan's fingers flew. "Channel open, sir." The Admiral's voice, calm and unyielding, reached every Kefler ship. "This is Admiral Daniel Carter of the USS Leviathan. Your ships have been disabled, but not destroyed. Your crews are alive and unharmed. We could have killed you all in seconds. But that is not our way." He paused, letting the truth sink in. "Return to your masters. Tell them what you witnessed here today. Tell them that humanity is not weak. Tell them that we do not seek war, but we will not flee from it. Any attack on Earth or its colonies will be met with force beyond your comprehension. This is your only warning." The channel closed. Sergeant Tyler Grant and his Marines stood ready, but no Kefler boarding attempts came. They were too shocked to move. Commander Briggs ordered the battle footage broadcast across the entire galaxy. Billions of beings watched, mesmerized, as 200 warships were rendered helpless without a single casualty on either side. Dr. Laura Peterson monitored the galactic reactions from engineering. Fear, confusion, disbelief, and something else. Hope. Oppressed species across the galaxy watched, daring to dream of a different future. If humanity could stand against the Kefler, perhaps they could, too. On the council station, emergency sessions erupted. Representatives who had laughed at humanity days ago now sat in terrified silence. The Kefler High Commander, still in disbelief, demanded confirmation, verification, explanation. There had to be a trick. But there was no trick. The footage was real. The disabled fleet was real. The Leviathan was real. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge, gazing at the stars. The first battle was over. He knew it was only the beginning. The Kefler would not accept humiliation easily. Other powers would see humanity as a threat or an ally to be courted. "Commander Briggs," he said quietly, "set course for the council station. I believe they will be ready to talk now." The Leviathan turned, moving towards its true destination. Behind it, 200 disabled Kefler ships drifted in the darkness, their crews struggling to comprehend how their universe had irrevocably changed in just 11 minutes. Humanity had sent its message. Now, it was time to see if the galaxy was willing to listen. The Galactic Council chamber had never known such profound silence. Representatives who once plotted and bickered now sat stunned, their eyes fixed on the holographic projection of Admiral Daniel Carter and his officers. Ambassador Kevin Rodas stood on his small platform, but everything was different now. Species that had dismissed him now stared with a potent mixture of fear and dawning respect. The Kefler representatives huddled, whispering, their high commander utterly silent since the battle footage reached the station. "You have seen what our ship can do," Admiral Carter said, his voice calm, almost gentle. "You have seen 200 of your finest warships disabled in minutes. Not destroyed. Disabled. We chose mercy when we could have chosen annihilation. Remember that." An ancient representative, a being of flowing light, rose. "How?" his voice rasped, like wind through dead leaves. "How did you build such a thing without our knowledge? We have watched your world, monitored your transmissions. You showed no signs of such capability." Carter nodded to Dr. Laura Peterson. Her image appeared beside his. 300 years ago, she began, her voice ringing with the pride of generations, a craft of unknown origin crashed on our planet. We recovered its wreckage and began to study it. But more importantly, we found records aboard. Data stores that contained information about the galaxy. Its history. Its powers. Its conflicts. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The crash had been from one of the elder species, a scout ship lost centuries ago, its secrets now unearthed by the primitives. "We learned we were not alone," Laura continued, her gaze unwavering. "We learned about the Kefler and their conquests. We learned about the quarantine protocols used to control developing species. We learned what happened to worlds deemed threats." She paused, letting the chilling implications sink in. "We had two choices: reveal ourselves and hope for mercy, or prepare for the day mercy would not be offered. Our ancestors chose preparation." The Kefler High Commander finally stood. His scales seemed duller, his posture less certain. "You are saying that for 3 centuries you have been building weapons in secret? That everything we observed was a deception?" Ambassador Rodas stepped forward, his voice firm. "Not a deception. We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see, a small, struggling species, barely reaching for the stars. Harmless. Not worth your attention. And while you watched our public space programs with amusement, we built the Leviathan in silence, beneath our oceans. Why, the question came from a crystalline being, its form refracting light. Why go to such lengths? You could have joined the galactic community peacefully. Admiral Carter's expression hardened. Could we? Look at your history. The Valkyrie asked for peace, their world is now a mining colony. The Thessan offered trade and friendship, they exist only as servants in Kefler households. The Mirandi tried to integrate, they were absorbed, erased. Peace is not offered to the weak. Only submission. The chamber fell silent. No one could dispute his words. Commander Nicole Briggs spoke next. The Leviathan is not just a weapon. It is a sanctuary. It can sustain 500,000 humans indefinitely. It carries our seeds, our art, our history, our culture. If Earth ever falls, our species will survive. We built it to ensure that no matter what the galaxy does to us, humanity will endure. Sergeant Tyler Grant stood at attention behind them, his Marines in perfect formation, embodying the disciplined strength humanity could deploy. But we did not build this power to conquer, Admiral Carter concluded. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your resources. We do not want to rule. We want only what any species deserves, the right to exist, the right to grow, the right to be treated as equals rather than subjects. He looked directly at the Kefler High Commander. You gave us 7 cycles to surrender. You promised to burn our world and erase our species. Those threats are now meaningless. But we are not here for revenge. We are here to offer what you never offered us, a chance. The High Commander's jaw tightened. Pride screamed at him to refuse, to unleash his armada. But he had seen the footage. He had spoken with the survivors. He knew what the Leviathan could do. What do you want? He ground out. Ambassador Rodas answered, a seat at this council. Full membership in the galactic community. Recognition of our existing colonies. Trade rights. Diplomatic relations. Nothing more, nothing less. And if we refuse? Admiral Carter's image flickered slightly as the Leviathan subtly adjusted its position in space, its colossal shadow visible through the chamber's viewports, a sleeping giant watching. Then we return home and wait. We will not attack first. We will not seek conquest. But any aggression against Earth or its people will be met with an overwhelming response. You have seen what we can do when we choose restraint. You do not want to see what we can do when we do not. Lieutenant Megan Torres monitored communications. Messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Oppressed species, emboldened, watched with burning hope. Others, the old powers, calculated, weighing new alliances. The balance of the galaxy shifted in real time. The ancient elders spoke again. We must deliberate. This is not a decision to be made quickly. Carter nodded. We understand. We have waited 300 years. We can wait a little longer. His image faded, leaving Ambassador Rodas watching as the representatives, a mix of anger, fear, and grudging relief, began their discussions. 6 months. That's how long it took for the galaxy to adjust. 6 months since the Leviathan rose. 6 months since the galaxy fell silent. The Kefler Dominion withdrew its ultimatum, not with a public announcement, but a quiet, humiliating retreat of their armada. The High Commander, who promised ash, simply retired. No one spoke of the humiliation, they didn't need to. Ambassador Kevin Rodas stood before the Galactic Council, for what he hoped was his final time as an outsider. The chamber had changed. His platform was now expanded, raised to the level of the other major powers. Humanity was no longer begging. The Council recognizes the United Earth Government, the presiding elder announced. Full membership is hereby granted, with all rights and privileges accorded to sovereign galactic powers. Applause. Not from the Kefler, who remained stony-faced, but from many others. Species oppressed for centuries saw hope in humanity's rise. If these newcomers could stand against the Kefler, perhaps the old order was finally changing. Rhodas bowed slightly. His work was done. Earth had its seat at the table. Far away, at the solar system's edge, the USS Leviathan maintained its silent vigil. A permanent fixture in the darkness. Commercial vessels from a dozen species now passed through Earth's space, trade routes blooming where none had dared before. They all gave the Leviathan a wide berth. Respect or fear? It didn't matter. The effect was the same. Admiral Daniel Carter walked the observation deck with Commander Nicole Briggs. They watched the traffic, transports, diplomatic vessels, the ceaseless movement of a world finally taking its place among the stars. "We did it," Briggs whispered, a catch in her voice. 300 years of preparation. We actually did it. Carter nodded slowly. The hard part is just beginning. Building the ship was easy compared to what comes next. Now we have to prove that we deserve this place, that we can be trusted, that we are not just another empire waiting to conquer. He looked at her. "Do you think we can?" The Admiral considered it. "I think we have to try. Our ancestors built the Leviathan because they feared what the galaxy would do to us. But fear isn't enough to build a future on. Eventually, we need something more." In engineering, Dr. Laura Peterson led a delegation of scientists from 3 different species. They were studying the Leviathan's less sensitive systems. A first step towards sharing technology, building trust, forging relationships that could prevent future conflicts. "Your power distribution system is remarkable," a crystalline scientist observed. "It operates on principles we've theorized but never achieved." Laura smiled. "My grandmother spent 40 years figuring out that system. It nearly drove her mad, but she never gave up." "Why share this with us?" another asked. "You could keep your advantages secret." Laura's eyes held the wisdom of generations. "Because secrets have a cost. We spent 3 centuries hiding. Now we want to build something different. Something based on cooperation, not fear. It has to start somewhere." The alien scientists exchanged glances, surprised. This was not what they expected from the species that had humbled the Kethler. In the fighter bays, Captain Marcus Cole trained pilots from 4 different worlds. The Interspecies Defense Coalition was in its infancy, but enthusiasm was high. Young warriors, who had grown up fearing the Kethler, now flew alongside the humans who had stood against them and won. "Formation flying is about trust," Cole explained. "You have to know that the pilot beside you will do exactly what they're supposed to do. Species doesn't matter. Politics doesn't matter. Only the bond between warriors." His students listened with rapt respect. Sergeant Tyler Grant and his Marines became legends. Their discipline, their honor, their refusal to abuse power, earned admiration even from species wary of humanity. Grant, uncomfortable with the celebrity, told a visiting journalist, "We're just doing our jobs. There's nothing special about following orders and treating people with respect." But there was. In a galaxy where strength often meant license to dominate, the human Marines represented something different: the strength to destroy, but the choice to protect. That choice mattered more than any weapon. Lieutenant Megan Torres managed the flood of communications into the Leviathan daily: diplomatic requests, trade proposals, desperate pleas from oppressed species, threats from those who still resented humanity's rise. "The galaxy is changing," she reported to Carter. "The Kethler are losing influence. Species that submitted for millennia are pushing back. A new coalition is forming around Earth's example." Carter frowned. "We need to be careful. We didn't do this to replace one empire with another. If we become what we fought against, everything our ancestors built means nothing. What do? We lead by example," Briggs responded, her voice firm. "We help where we can. We stand firm when we must. And we remember why we built this ship in the first place. Not for conquest. For survival. For the right to exist in peace." 1 year after the revelation, Ambassador Kevin Rhodas addressed the reformed Galactic Council. Earth was no longer a newcomer, but an established power. "We did not ask for this role," Rhodas declared. We did not build the Leviathan because we wanted to dominate the galaxy. We built it because we wanted to survive. But survival is not enough. Now we must ask ourselves what kind of galaxy we want to live in. One ruled by fear, where the strong take what they want and the weak suffer? Or one built on respect, where every species has the right to determine its own destiny? He paused, looking around the chamber. That choice is not ours alone. It belongs to all of us. But humanity will do its part. The Leviathan will keep watch. Our doors will remain open to those who seek friendship, and our warning will remain clear to those who threaten peace. Outside the chamber's viewports, stars glittered in the endless darkness. Somewhere among them, the Leviathan orbited Earth's sun, a guardian, silent and ready. Humanity had revealed its secret. The galaxy had fallen silent, and in that silence, a new era had begun. Not an era of conquest or domination, but something rarer, more precious, an era of possibility. The story of humanity among the stars was only just beginning.